Assalamualaikum and hi to everyone. Thank you for watching this video. In this video, we continue on chapter 1 regarding the introduction to information system development. So in the previous video, we already discussed about the definition of the IS, information system, the difference between the information technology and information system, and what are the components in information system. And then we also discuss about the type of business information system. So in this video, we'll discuss about the methodology. Okay, methodology is like a guideline for us when we do certain project or when we want to develop a business information system. So development methodology is a framework to help in identifying the milestone or structured activities that are needed and monitor the deliverables of our project. Okay. From the computer world, the software or the system development life cycle (SDLC) is the overall process of developing information system through a multi-step process from investigation of initial requirement through analysis, design, implementation, and maintenance. So that's all the process involved in the SDLC or the methodology on that part. Okay. So you can look at the figure on the right side. Okay. We have spiral, waterfall, and then the prototyping. So these are the basic pattern in the software development methodology. The type of framework or methodology that we can use when we want to develop a business information system. So system development method can be structured analysis, object-oriented analysis, and agile adaptive methods. Okay, so we go through under the system development methodology here. We will go through the structured analysis, the object-oriented analysis, as well as the agile and adaptive method. So let's look at the first structured analysis. So under the structured analysis, we have description, and then we have modeling tools, the advantages, the disadvantages. Okay. So structured analysis represent the system in terms of data and the process that act upon the data. So the process is based on the data. And the system development is organized into phases. So we have several phases. So in each piece, we have our own objective, activities, and the deliverable part. Okay, so at here, system development is organized into pieces with deliverables and milestone to measure the progress, and can use the waterfall model. This one is structured. We have several pieces. Okay, for example, we have the planning piece, and then we have the analysis piece, and then we have design, development, implementation, testing. So in each piece of development part, we have set the activities, the objective, and what the output of each piece. So example here, we can use the waterfall model because it's a structured analysis. Okay. Second, we go for modeling tools. Okay. At this part, we can use the data flow diagram. Okay. And the process description. So DFD, data flow diagram. So it will be structured for the structured analysis. Okay, the pros or the advantages if you're using the structured analysis, a traditional method with heavy written documentation, well suited to project management tools and technique. Okay, we have well written documentation. And then how about the contrast? Okay, changes can be costly, especially in later phases, because we already structured it. So if any changes, so it's quite hard for us to change, and we need more cost for that. And then requirements are defined earlier and can change during development. Users might not be able to describe their needs until they can see example of features function. Okay, this is the cons, because we already state before the project begin. Let's say we have plan and then we analysis but we already put here and here. So when we come for the design, it's okay, but when we come for the implementation, and then we realize something that need to be changed. So it's quite hard for that part. Okay. The next part, we go for the object-oriented analysis. Okay, object-oriented analysis, or OOA, view the system in terms of the object that combine the data and the process. So the view, before this, we structured piece by piece. This one, we look the project, okay, the whole system in the term of project and combine the data needed and the process that involved in the object. So the object represent actual people, things, transaction, and events. Okay, you can use the waterfall model or the model that stresses greater iteration in the development. The modeling tool, we have UML diagram that depict system actor, method, and messages. In UML diagram, we have a lot of UML diagram, okay, such as we have the use case, we have the activity diagram, we have the a flow chart. Okay, so we can represent the system that we want to develop using the UML diagram. Okay, the pros integrate easily with the object-oriented programming language, because we view in terms of the object and then combine the data and processes. So the code in modular and reusable, just like when we use the programming language or OOP. Okay, so we can reuse again certain of the code, which can reduce the cost in development time, as well as the cost and the time of development. Okay, and then easy to maintain and expand as a new object, and can be cloned using inherited properties. Okay, this one are the characteristic of the OOP. And then the cons here, somewhat newer method might be less familiar to the development team members. Okay, this one is team members. And then the interaction of the object and the classes can be complex in the larger system. So that for the object-oriented analysis. The next part, we have agile and adaptive method. Okay, using this kind of method, it stress instance the team-based effort. Okay, this one is agile and adaptive. So break development process down into cycle or iteration that add functionalities. So each iteration is designed, built, tested in ongoing process. So we design, we develop it, and then we test in every process. So the attempt to reduce major risk by incremental step in the short time interval, and typically typically used for this kind of method is a spiral model. So modeling tools that enhance the communication, collaborative software, brainstorming, and whiteboards. So tools in order to use this methodology. How about the pros? Okay, very flexible and efficient in dealing with the change, because in every part, each iteration, we have the design, development, tested. So efficient, flexible with any change. Okay, stress team interaction and reflect a set of community based values. frequent deliverable, constantly validate the project and reduce the risk of failure. And how about the cons? Team members need high level of technical and communication skill for the entire process of development. Lack of structure and documentation can reduce risk factor. Okay, compared to the structured analysis part, this one is less in terms of the structure of developing the software, less of the documentation, and a lot of changes being done throughout the process of development. And then overall project might be subject to scope change as the user requirement change. Okay, so these the three part of the method under the business information system methodology. Okay, IS development methodology. We go for the software development. We have the requirements, design, software development, testing, implementation. Okay, the SDLC describe the activities and function that all system developer perform regardless of which approach they use. So you will look this kind of figure and going through the process of each piece when you come for the project FYP later on and the project during this course. Okay, so the SDLC model include the following step: requirement, design, software development, testing, and implementation. So requirements here, how you gather the requirement, either you want to do observation, you want to make a research, compare the current part, current documentation, or you also can do interview, survey in order to get the requirement. And then at the designing model, you can use the UML diagram as your tools in designing. You can sketch for designing, and then go for the software development, the process of coding part. You need to identify requirement, what kind of programming language at the requirement piece. You must identify what kind of IDE that you want to use, what kind of programming language that you want to deal with. So at this part, what are the specification, hardware specification, software specification, what type of user under the requirement piece. And then based on the requirement, you go for design and then go for the development here, and then test your software and then implement to the real world. Okay, so there are many different models and methodologies, but each generally consists of a series of similar defined steps or stages. Okay, for example, that we have mentioned before, we have the spiral methodology, and we also have the waterfall methodology. Okay, so this one is the pieces based on SDLC. We have requirement, design, software, testing, and implementation. Okay, these one are the activities involved in each pieces. So as I mentioned, in the requirement, you need to identify what are the needs for your system. So based on this piece, the output is, or the deliverable is, the system requirement specification for your business system. And then after you done the first activity, the first stage, the first piece here, you go proceed with another piece, design. You create the blueprint. Okay, the documentation part, the designing part, sketching part, and then transform it into the logical design. So based on the logical design, you will transform into the program modules and codes when you want to develop the software. So at this piece, design documentation like ERD and data flow diagram will be produced. So based on this design, you will continue with the software development. So real code is written based on the system and the program design at the previous piece. Okay, and then the output here is the program itself. And then after you're done with the program, you can continue with testing part. So system is tested as a whole, means you need to integrate all the module that you have created here in order, and then do the testing, the functionality test. Okay, when you do functionality test, under the testing phase, you can do a functionality test, you can do a user acceptance test. Okay, for the development, and then we continue with the implementation. After test, everything is okay, then you can implement. So it should be longest life cycle piece, and the system install and put into use. Okay, correcting error. Okay, after you implement, so if there is any error, so you need to make a correction, improve the system based on the review from your users. So at this part is improve or enhance the system that you are already created. So some example of the SDLC, we have V model. So the representation is look like a V, and it still have the several pieces here: requirement, design, detail specification, coding, and so on. And then here we have the waterfall model. This one is traditional waterfall model. Okay, using this part, there is no no changes after you go from one piece to another piece. Okay, another model. Okay, we have a rational unified process model. Okay, this one for iterative development. So basically, it look like the SDLC. We have several pieces, and each pieces we have the activities. And then we have prototyping model. So rapid prototype, you analysis. Okay, any changes, go back to the previous piece. So this one prototyping. And then we have also the spiral model. So it's look like this one. Okay, so that's all for the SDLC methodology. So hopefully you already know what is the structured analysis, what is the object oriented approach, what is agile and adaptive approach, and the several example of the methodology. So that's all for this video. Thank you and assalamualaikum.